Hello everyone, Super Duper Boy here. So it's been some time since Godzilla vs. Kong has come out, and I haven't been sure if I really want to make this review because, well, I have some controversial opinions while everyone else really likes the movie. I'm glad people are happy about it, and I wish I could be, but I decided I'm just going to be honest in this review and talk about why this is my least favorite in the MonsterVerse. But that doesn't mean I completely dislike it. There's still a lot of great things about this movie. It is entertaining and the fights thankfully don't cut away so much. Also, the battles are brutal, which makes them more serious. But even though the movie is fun, I think there is massive missed potential, and it doesn't do well as being a continuation or possibly conclusion to the MonsterVerse. And I'm going to be explaining why in this video. There will be spoilers, but I think most people have seen the movie. But if you haven't, then no, I'm basically spoiling everything. So first of all, I must address the fact that in my predictions video, I was wrong. Godzilla won, not Kong. And there wasn't a second battle in Pensacola. There's not much to say about that. I was wrong in my speculation. That video was just for fun though, and I didn't expect to be right about everything. Anyways, let's get into the review. So, starting off with what I liked in the movie. Well, I pretty much liked everything everyone else did. The fights were great, the human characters were tolerable, and the Hollow Earth looked awesome, and the film was very well paced. The human scenes were short, but didn't feel rushed. One of the best things about the movie is Kong. He shows a lot of emotion, and really feels like a character, not just a monster. I like the sign language communication with Gia. Something I noticed is that all the scenes from her perspective have no sound, which is a good detail. Also, the opening credits were probably the best in the MonsterVerse. It really got me hyped. I could talk more about what's good, like how Skullcrawlers were used as test subjects, which is a creative, unexpected way to use them, but you probably already know what's good in the movie. So I'm gonna focus more on what I didn't like. My goal with this video isn't to tell people that they're wrong for liking the movie. If you do, that's great. My goal is to just get my opinion out on a movie that disappoints me in multiple ways. So, with all that said, let's talk about the first problem I had. So, I was just praising how Kong was used in the movie, but Godzilla isn't nearly as good. Obviously, he doesn't have as much screen time, but that's not what the problem is. To explain why I think Godzilla isn't that good in the movie, we have to go back to Godzilla 2014. In that movie, he was simply a force of nature. He didn't go out of his way to kill humans, but when he was getting shot at the Golden Gate Bridge, he didn't have a problem with destroying it and killing people. In Godzilla King of the Monsters, he changes. He gets saved by Dr. Serizawa and fights Ghidorah with the military. Of course, he should have some more respect for human life after the events of that movie. For whatever reason, Godzilla just hates people in Godzilla vs. Kong. I understand him attacking Apex, but he also just murders for no reason. When he's approaching Hong Kong, he destroys a bridge. There's cars falling into the water. People died here. And then he decides to shoot a hole into the city and kill even more people. I know he's a giant monster, but he's also a character, and character consistency is very important. There's a clear reason for why he attacks Apex, but why does he kill innocent people unprovoked? At least at the Golden Gate Bridge, he was being attacked. Maybe the reason is he hates Kong so much that he just kills random people? I don't know. But I really don't like how they just change Godzilla in this movie. He attacks the Navy and probably kills thousands of people, even though Kong hasn't done anything to him yet. Now maybe he just really hates Kong, so much that he's willing to kill so many people when they didn't do anything to him. Maybe there's such a strong reason for him hating Kong that it makes sense for him to do this. That would be an interesting plot point. But the problem is, there isn't a good reason for them fighting. So, in every MonsterVerse movie, there's a reason for why the monsters are fighting. In Godzilla 2014, the Mutos kill Godzilla's species, and if the eggs hatch, they will destroy the planet. In Kong Skull Island, the Skullcrawler killed Kong's parents, and in King of the Monsters, Ghidorah and Godzilla fought in the past. And Ghidorah is an invasive titan that wants to wipe out all life. These reasons for fighting aren't that complicated, but they are at least clear and make sense. Godzilla and Kong are the two most complex characters in the MonsterVerse. So I was expecting an at least half decent reason for them fighting, but what they came up with is really disappointing. Their species were rivals and had a war. The end. That's already pretty bland, but to make it worse, Godzilla probably didn't even fight the same Kong. Kong is only a few hundred years old. There doesn't need to be a super deep reason for why they're fighting, but it should be better than this. If there was a reason for why Godzilla was so mad, then him ignoring what happened in King of the Monsters and just killing people would make more sense. Fights are made better by the context behind the fight. If you watch one of the battles on YouTube without having seen the movie, you get almost as much context for why it's happening as someone who has watched the whole thing. concept of there being a war between the species is interesting, but it doesn't fit into the lore well. We already know the backstories of Kong's species and why things are the way they are for Kong and Godzilla, so we don't get an idea of how significant this war was, or how it actually affects the universe. It's just something random that happened. It doesn't add anything more to the story of the MonsterVerse. It's just an excuse for them to fight. The reason people watch this movie is because they wanted to see Godzilla and Kong fight. But the movie is still part of a larger cinematic universe, and a sequel to Godzilla King of the Monsters. On the surface, it seems like Godzilla vs. Kong does a good job at being a follow-up to King of the Monsters. Madison Russell and Mark Russell return, and Ghidorah is part of the plot. Those are just the surface level things. It's acknowledging the fact that those characters existed. That's totally fine, but the problem is that they didn't explore what the events of the last movie actually mean for the world. In Godzilla King of the Monsters, they mention San Francisco multiple times. It's literally the first scene of the movie. Here they don't even mention the amount of destruction that happened. The events of Godzilla 2014 were pretty bad for the world, but it's nothing compared to King of the Monsters. Dozens of cities were destroyed, and likely millions were killed in natural disasters the Titans created. So why does Godzilla vs. Kong not mention this? Part of what makes cinematic universes special is that every movie changes the world in some way. So it's unfortunate Godzilla vs. Kong doesn't really do that. Even Ghidorah being in the movie might just make it worse, but I'll explain that later. Anyways, the movie just ignores major events that happened previously. But what's unfortunate is that they had a perfect opportunity to make the Rise of the Titans an important part of the story. Apex in the movie wants to wipe out all Titans, but there isn't really any depth or explanation for why. And for some reason, they have infinite resources. They literally built a tunnel across the entire Pacific Ocean. That must be trillions of dollars. They also built Mechagodzilla, but that isn't as impressive. My point is that they could have used what happened in King of the Monsters as a way to explain why Apex is so powerful. After what happened, thousands of people could have joined their cause, possibly some who left Monarch, and millions of people donated money because they hate the Titans after they destroyed their cities. If they just put exposition explaining something like that, it would have given so much needed backstory for this company that feels like it came out of nowhere. The movie we got, Apex, is a missed opportunity and an underdeveloped part of the story. And unfortunately, the other major organization isn't much better. Monarch in this movie doesn't really make sense. People don't talk about this that much, but Monarch was basically destroyed in King of the Monsters. Almost all of their containment sites were overrun by the Titans and completely destroyed. They also lost their leader and their most likely second in command, and their reputation was damaged because one of their best scientists went absolutely insane and caused the rise of the Titans. I think you get the point. Monarch did not have a good time, but for whatever reason, in this movie, they are even more advanced. Kong's containment site is like number 200 or something. Site numbers didn't even go into triple digits in King of the Monsters. Washington DC was destroyed, yet Monarch still has this much funding from the government. The reason this is a problem is because it makes it feel like the MonsterVerse doesn't have consequences anymore. What happened to the world in Godzilla vs. Kong might not matter next time. After Godzilla 2014, Monarch got more funding because the world realized that monsters are a real threat. So that makes sense. Then in King of the Monsters, they get kinda destroyed. Yet they still are more powerful next time. There's so much potential with showing a Monarch that's trying to recover after what happened. It's just more wasted potential and ignoring the consequences. But there's one character that's even more wasted. Alright, they treated this character so badly that he needed his own segment. Where do I even start? The original Serizawa was the best character in the MonsterVerse. Even people who hate the human characters liked him. And his death is one of the saddest moments in any of these movies. So when he learned that he has a son that's working on the opposite side of his father and who hates Godzilla, I got excited. There's so much potential with a story like that, explaining how he got to this point. But then the movie releases. He got 9 lines in the whole movie. I counted. Most of that was exposition. Even if you loved the movie, you gotta admit that they could have done better with him. There's no explanation for why he got to this point, and what his relation to his father was. Literally nothing. And then worst of all, he gets electrocuted and then he's dead. That's it. They did nothing with his character and then they killed him off. Come on. He really could have been replaced with some random guy and nothing would have changed. But nope, they gotta make him Serizawa's son and ruin his legacy. Out of all of the things I've talked about, this one makes me the most frustrated. The ending is fine. It's fun to watch and all, but they played it really safe. Everyone made jokes about them teaming up, but most people didn't think it would actually happen, including myself, but it did. And to make it even more safe, they made Ghidorah take over Mechagodzilla, which is just kind of uninteresting. If it was Ren Serizawa controlling Mecha G fighting those two, then that would have been interesting. It would make people think, hey, wait a minute, Godzilla just destroyed the city. Maybe Apex are on the right side, but nope, no more complexity. Mechagodzilla is now killing people, so there's a clear good guy and bad guy. These movies have a reputation of being not objectively good and just being fun, but these movies can actually have interesting stories. So the ending not taking any risks, the lack of consequences from King of the Monsters, and Ren Serizawa being painfully wasted among other problems I mentioned, keep this from being as good as it could be. This movie succeeds at having fun fights, which is all some people need, but it failed at being a continuation of the story they've been creating for 7 years, in my opinion. Despite a few great aspects. Again, if you love this movie, then that's awesome. This is just my opinion. Also, I still appreciate everyone who worked on the visual effects, the actors, people who worked on set design, all of that. Every single movie is an accomplishment. It's just problems with the story I have. So yeah, I think that's about it. Even as fun as the movie can be, whenever I stop and think about it, I just feel disappointed. This may be my least favorite in the MonsterVerse, but it's at least a financial success. So hopefully there will be more movies, and hopefully I'll like them more than this one. Anyways, thank you all so much for watching. I hope you enjoyed, but I can't be completely sure because this video is a bit controversial. But still, I'll see you all next time. Peace out.